We go ahead and get started. So welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Wanted to note that we have about 45 minutes held for this, but we anticipate it probably won't take that long. We will have time for Q&A at the end. And also wanted to note that this is going to be recorded and posted on our web page as well. So yeah, we're here today to talk to you about our Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee non-voting membership recruitment. And we're going to be going through a presentation today, providing a little bit of background on just PSRC, who we are, what we do. We're talking a little bit about our Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee and the work program. And then we'll delve into our membership structure, in particular the non-voting members and what the roles and responsibilities are. And so just a couple of brief introductions before we get started. My name is Gary Simonson. I'm a senior planner with PSRC's Transportation Planning Division. I'm the facilitator for the BPAC committee and also help prepare for the meetings. I'll turn it over to Nick, who is also going to be co-presenting with me today.
Great. Thank you, Gary. Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Johnson. I'm an associate planner on the transportation planning team at PSRC, and I serve as kind of the primary staff support for this committee. So I'll get us kicked off here by first starting discussing kind of introducing PSRC. So before getting into and discussing the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, we wanted to share a bit about the Puget Sound Regional Council and the work that we do here. So PSRC serves as both the Metropolitan Planning Organization and the Regional Transportation Planning Organization for the Central Puget Sound region. PSRC develops policies and coordinates decisions about regional growth, transportation, economic development, within King, Kitsap, Pierce, and Snohomish counties. So PSRC is a membership-based organization that is composed of nearly 100 members, including the 4 counties that I mentioned, cities and towns, ports, transit agencies, state and local transportation agencies, and tribal governments. If you're curious about more information about our PSRC's roles and responsibilities, you can ask in our Q&A later, or you can also find more information on the About Us tab on our webpage. To the next slide. So now that you know a bit more about PSRC, I'll describe the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, which we refer to as the BPAC, and its role within the agency. So BPAC is one of PSRC's advisory committees, and these are intended to gather input on ways to address regional challenges and to provide technical feedback on topical work programs. So as you might have guessed, the BPAC coordinates with and advises PSRC staff on pedestrian and bicycle related issues. Similar to the kind of broader Puget Sound Regional Council membership, BPAC membership is comprised of local jurisdictions, transit agencies, public health agencies, and various other interest groups across the 4 county region. BPAC typically meets every other month on the odd numbered months for 1 to 2 hours on the second Tuesday of that month. And the meeting time varies depending on the number of discussion items we have on our agenda. So to give you a bit more context about BPAC's work program, one of the committee's primary responsibilities is to provide feedback to PSRC staff on data collection for our pedestrian and bicycle facility inventory. This includes a regular update to our pedestrian and bicycle facility typology, as well as the actual data collection process for gathering sidewalk and bicycle facility information for the region. PSRC staff also bring other planning products to the BPAC for the committee's feedback when they're relevant. So we will bring topics such as work programs, such as addressing topics such as safety, transit access, coordinated mobility, and other relevant work items. BPAC also provides support for the development of active transportation elements of our regional transportation plan, including the development of our active transportation plan. This largely consists of providing feedback and direction on the data analysis, the methodology for assessing needs and gaps for pedestrian and bicycle facilities in the region, and how PSRC staff monitor pertinent policies and programs. So now I've given a bit more context about what BPAC is. I'll turn it back to Gary to talk about the non-voting member roles.
Yeah, so as Nick mentioned earlier, PSRC has approximately 100 member agencies, and our committee or staff committees are typically made up of representatives from those member agencies. But for some of our committees, including BPAC, we think it's valuable to have sort of unique or potentially underrepresented perspectives from organizations that are not necessarily our member agencies. And we think that these contributors provide really sort of a valuable engagement, and it's valuable to have folks participate and be able to sort of bring that perspective on various bike ped issues. The types of organizations that are typically non-voting members include community-based organizations, environmental organizations, and educational organizations. And I will note that, as the name implies, non-voting members are not able to vote on issues. But really, the committee rarely does vote on things. To be frank, it does happen, but it's not that common. So non-voting members are able to participate in I'd say the vast majority of discussions and able to engage in nearly all of the agenda items. Um, and I'll just note that we may appoint up to 5 non-voting members. Next slide. So in terms of expectations, as Nick said, they're virtual meetings, and they occur every other month on the second Tuesday morning of the month. And non-voting members are expected to regularly attend these meetings. And as I mentioned, really sort of participate and engage on a variety of topics. As I mentioned before, we think it's really valuable to have these sort of underrepresented perspectives and voices. And in order to have those voices, we have to make sure that our non-voting members are participating. So that is something that is expected. The non-voting member terms are 4 years. But I will note that non-voting membership is organization based. And so it's possible that if there's an individual, if, during that 4-year term, the organization determines that there's an individual that's better suited to represent them at the BPAC, those kind of swap outs can happen within those 4-year periods. The 4 years are just for the organizations themselves. And next slide. So some examples of organizations that have served as non-voting members, and just to be clear, this is far from comprehensive and does not cover the full scope of the types of organizations, but just a sampling of organizations that have participated. Cascade Bicycle Club, Forever Green Trails, Bikes Club of Snohomish County, University of Washington Transportation Services, North Kitsap Trails Association, and Bicycle Teacher, which is a private bicycle teaching group, or might have been a single person. But yeah, next slide. Okay, so now that you have a sense of sort of what the committee is and what the roles and responsibilities for the non-voting members are, we ask that if your organization is interested in becoming a non-voting member, that you fill out a non-voting member application, and that is going to include just some questions about what perspective you'd provide for the committee, some questions about the knowledge, expertise, and skills that that your organization would bring to the committee, as well as a couple of questions, maybe clarifying just your ability to attend on a regular basis. And that application where we should be ready to send out within the next couple of weeks, I think, week or two. And once we send that out, you'll have probably about 2 to 3 weeks to fill it out and before it's due. Um, After that, PSRC staff will take a look at the applications, and we're going to sort of pre-screen a list of applicants to provide to our BPAC committee members for review. And then at an upcoming BPAC meeting, we're going to hold a vote to determine who will fill those non-voting member slots. And of course, after our final decisions are made, appropriate responses will be sent to all the candidates. And that is it. So if you have any questions, if you want to put them into the chat, we are happy to answer any questions, thoughts that you may have about the process, about the committee, about the roles and responsibilities of the non-voting members. So far it's looking like not seeing any chats. Um, so I guess we'll assume that for now, folks have heard everything that they need to hear. So if you want to go to the next slide, please, you'll see there's Nick and I's information. If anything comes to mind after this webinar is over, please feel free to email us. We're happy to address any questions you have. And as I mentioned, we will be sending out those applications within the next week or two. And Nick, did you have anything else before we concluded?
No, I think that's it from my end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, it's going to be a little quicker than the time that we allotted. So hopefully everyone's okay. Oh, I see something in the Q&A. Oh, okay, great. Will a copy of these slides be provided? That's a good question. We are happy to we can send, I think we're gonna be posting the recording on the web page, and I think we can discuss offline. We'll either post the slides or we'll just send them to the attendees. But either way, they'll be accessible to you for sure. Thank you for that question. And let's see if there's anything else. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Hopefully you have something you can use the next 30 minutes for. And thank you for your time. And we hope to hear from you via the application soon.
Thank you.